trust, if you don't have trust in a relationship, woo, you can't move anywhere. You really can't. So that's a big one. So I'm really struggling with that one. But I'm going to go with, as far as what erodes a relationship, is if you notice a pattern of constant criticism.
It's better with us two. We're better together. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Better Together. This
What?
intro. Welcome back to Better Together, the podcast about building bridges in all areas of your life.
Yeah.
This is episode 24.
24, baby. Let's go.
So crazy.
Yeah, man.
That we've done this many episodes. And we just want to give a shout out to Tommy Moore,
Yep.
our producer,
Tommy.
and Caden Moore. I guess he's like the
Co-producer.
Come on, bro. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for believing in us and putting your resources behind us to help us do this.
Yes, amen.
Today we will be talking about something that is kind of funny sometimes, it could be, I don't know, it could be controversial and it could be subjective because everybody, has different ones. But we're going to be talking about relationship red flags on today.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm really interested to see what comes out of this conversation.
I think we should go back and forth. I've got my list. You got your list.
Okay.
Yar.
Let's do it.
Sound good?
Yeah, relationship red flags. Why is this important when it comes to bridge building? Because bridge building in relationships specifically,
That's what, yeah.
is like you don't have a relationship without the bridges that you have to build to come to commonality, to come to an agreement that you're going to be in a relationship, you're going to remain in a relationship, and you're going to allow that relationship to progress to marriage and to children and to things like that. There's so many different bridges that need to be built between two people to maintain a relationship. And if we ignore the red flags, we will build bridges that we ain't got no business building.
Whoa. Oh,
And
yeah.
so-
It's like ignoring the construction signs.
Right.
The warning signs.
Before a bridge gets built, they send out land surveyors. They send out people to go and test the integrity of the land along
Come on.
both sides of the gap to show where the best place would be to build the bridge. There might be a swamp in a certain area. You can't just set up shop and start, building where, on sinking sand, where that bridge would not be able to sustain the weight that will get put on that bridge.
Right.
With the travel going across back and forth, with the cars and the different weights of the cars and the trucks and the different vehicles. So you really have to be very aware of what kind of land you're building on. And if there is a red flag where, this might be stable on this side, but on this side it's not stable, you can't build there. Otherwise, it's dangerous moving forward.
Yeah.
And so I think making sure that red flags are something that we pay attention to and something that we resolve or we just decide, we're moving on from, then if we don't pay attention to that stuff, it could be detrimental moving forward in the relationship without knowing and dealing with
the
red flags.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
I think that is why a conversation about red flags absolutely pertinent to the bridge building that happens in relationships between man and woman specifically. That's what we're doing, romantic relationships. But in any relationships, you really should be paying attention to red flags. In a business relationship, you need to pay attention to red flags. If the person that you go into business with is unstable, you want to know that. You want to pay attention to that red flag and then maybe don't go into business with them. That kind of stuff. And so,
yes.
Relationships in general, but specifically we focus on romantic relationships. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Those red flags. Now, I want to talk about how do I say this? I want to talk about the flag system. Okay.
Flag
the
system.
Relationship flag system. Because I really, until I started wading through TikTok, I really didn't know that there were all these other flags. So I want to just highlight what we mean by red flags.
Okay.
And the different colors of flags that apparently are in existence that I had no idea about.
Enlighten me.
Now, the flag system has 3 main flags: the red, the green, and the yellow.
The yeller.
And they are what you might expect them to be, right? From, driving a car, what red, green, and yellow mean. With David will be in the car and he sees the red light and he's like, red means stop. Green means go.
That's right.
Right? And so it kind of goes along those lines. Red is like those very serious things that you need to be paying attention to that might be detrimental to the health of the relationship. So the relationship flag system has to do with the health of the color, has to do with the health of the relationship.
Okay.
Like what the color corresponds to
sure.
affects the health of the relationship in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So red, obviously, stop. We need to halt. We need to pay attention. We need to look at this. We need to examine this and make sure that we are able to resolve it so that we can move forward. So that's basically what red means. Then we got green. Green is what you think it means. These are the good things about the relationship that signal it as a healthy relationship. These are the things that you look for in a partner, that you want that person to have, the things that that say, this is a healthy exchange.
Yeah.
Things like being able to communicate well and support and things like that. That basically encompasses what the green flags are. Then you got the yellow flags. The yellow flags, obviously, caution. Proceed with caution. This is not quite a red flag, but it could become a red flag. And so we just need to slow down, pump the brakes a little bit to see, are these deal breakers? Do we need to, reevaluate the relationship? This is proceed with caution, these yellow flags.
Okay. Are there other colors?
There's other colors. This is why I was like, okay, I understand. Okay. You have red flags, green flags make sense. And then yellow makes sense because of, the color system when it comes to our lights, our stoplights and stuff. Okay, I get that. But then there's other colors. There's also pink, which is somewhere between, like it's not quite red, but it's like, it's a little bit of like, ooh, this is a problem. But
what
is it?
How's that
it's
different
not
than
as
yellow?
bad as red. I don't know. This is what listen. I don't know.
Oh
I looked it up.
TikTok.
And I found, because y'all be on me about like, do you have the article that you read that da-da-da-da? So I have.
You're gonna source this
article.
one. That's funny.
Listen, since y'all be asking, like, oh, can you drop that article? It's from, I think, marriage.com.
Okay.
Yes, it's from
marriage.com.
Marriage.com. They cite 8 different relationship flags. We got red flags, green flags, yellow flags, blue flags.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, there's a blue flag. Now, blue flags apparently signify emotional unavailability. So this is emotional health of the relationship. Okay. Emotional unavailability or detachment in a relationship. So when a partner consistently shows reluctance to express emotions or connect on a deeper level.
I can see the validity of that. That's fine. Okay, blue flag. All right, that's
great. It can indicate underlying issues with vulnerability and past trauma. So that's a blue flag. Okay. It's specifically has to do with the emotional dynamics of the relationship. Okay.
Wow.
Then we got purple flags. Purple flags indicate inconsistent behavior or feelings. So 1 minute you running hot, next minute you feel you running cold. So it's mixed signals. Purple flags, mixed signals. Orange flags. An orange flag is underlying issues that maybe haven't surfaced yet, but could affect the health of the relationship moving forward or somewhere down the line.
Interesting. Okay.
So, these might include avoidance of serious discussions or a lack of enthusiasm about the future of the relationship. So you could be like real excited about where you are right here, right now, but it's kind of being scared of commitment, like non-committal. Like, I like you right now, but I don't know where this is going, and I'm not really interested in finding out, kind of thing. Like, just very right here, right now, but maybe not really interested in moving down the line.
Yeah.
Nothing serious. Pink flags are less severe than red flags. They point to like smaller little nitpicky, potentially irritating behaviors or habits that aren't really deal breakers, but they could become annoying over time, like cumulatively.
Okay.
So that's a pink flag.
Okay.
And then you have white flags. White flags symbolize surrender or the cessation of effort in the relationship. And it indicates that one or both partners may feel overwhelmed or defeated. So one of them just might want to give up. Like, I'm just throwing a white flag on this. I give up kind of thing. I surrender.
Right. Yeah.
Right. White flags. Okay. So that's 8 colors. That's a lot. TikTok done added another one. Okay.
Why?
Beige
flag?
Beige flags. These are things that are not toxic. They're like, okay, so they're like quirks. Like just little quirks that you might have. They're not toxic. They're not detrimental to the relationship, but they're just kind of like noticeable quirks. Like, okay, that's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It just is. And it's like a quirk that has to do with you. Okay. You know, your personality it's specific to you as a person, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a quirk that's noticeable.
Okay.
That's 9 flags.
9 flags.
We only talk about the red ones today, but I just thought that the flag system was interesting.
Interesting, somewhat useful.
Somewhat.
In my opinion.
I don't really feel like 9 of them is necessary. Just
no, I mean, I
understand the validity of all of them.
Yeah, I get it.
But like a lot of these things are just red flags with other colors on it. You know what I'm saying? Like a purple flag, a blue flag. Emotional issues that can't be resolved can just be a red flag. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't need to be like, oh, that's a blue flag. You got emotional problems. You got problems. It's red.
Right, yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
I'm grappling with how I feel about this flag system.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting because I just wanted to know, like, what's some common red flags? I was looking it up, and then the flag system.
Yeah. No, I think there's some validity to it. And certainly we went through, we examined and stress tested every element that we could of our marriage without living together and, you know, being intimate together. So I see that, but I wasn't like, and you do kind of get to a point where, you know, like there were no red flags, you know, for us, right? But I'm sure there were some little other color flags for each of us, you know, quirks and.
I'm sure there's plenty of beige flags for both of us.
Right.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I haven't really examined the thought process behind it, but I'm sure there is. Yeah.
And so yes, we examined all those things, but I think the only thing I don't like about the flag system, I think that's where I'm at with the flag system, is it seems all negative.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, except for the green ones.
Right. Green flags, good. But any one of the other, red flags are red flags. And yellow things proceed with caution for sure. But any of the other flag colors could turn into positive things. You know, like it's a lot of it's your perspective, and you're examining compatibility, right? But I don't know. I think you need to go. We said it before. You need to go into marriage with your eyes wide open for sure. But I hope that I don't know. I just feel like you get really, really nitpicky to the point of like nitpicking yourself right out of a possibly good relationship.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, then I could see why that would be a not so great thing about the flag system, because then you just like finding flags for everything.
Right. If you find what you're looking for.
It really does not take discernment, any kind of discernment, to find something that's wrong.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like you could just you can sit and watch somebody for 5 minutes and come up with a few red flags without really even trying.
Right.
You know, it takes less effort to find the things that are wrong with anything, a situation, a person's behavior, you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, you will find what you're looking for.
Yeah, you will. So I think that's what's grinding my gears on that just a little bit
I was just,
I like it. I mean,
presenting what I found, and I thought it was interesting.
I think it's interesting.
I don't know that I
think it's
actually
interesting.
agree with all of it, but
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting. So, okay, cool. All right. So how about we do it this way, babe? Are you cool with this? Like, you give your top 3 red flags. I'll give my top 3.
okay.
Does that sound good?
Mhm.
And we might have some honorable mention in there. Fair enough.
Yes.
Okay, you go first. We'll go back and forth, ping pong, ping pong. Give me one. What's your top relationship red flag?
My top relationship red flag is a spiritual one.
Okay.
No relationship with God. Not having their own relationship with God. That was my first one. Because a man in a marriage, which is what hopefully we're all dating for, at least our tribe, in marriage, the man's job is to be the husbandman, to be the cultivator, to be the one who is keeping the garden, guarding it. You know, what he is cultivating is first his wife, then his family, and the environment that he is responsible for creating for them to flourish. If he is not in relationship with God, he has no concept of that.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, there are some guys who stumble on it and they just know, okay, this is what works for my family, and that's great. But because I have a relationship with God, I just couldn't be with somebody who doesn't have one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't want to be mismatched in that area. I wanted somebody who either was on par with me, the same type of relationship or the same like intensity of relationship with God, or more, to encourage me to have more of an intense relationship with God. I didn't want like somebody who's just, well, I believe God is real, and that might work for some people, but it just wasn't. That was my red flag. It's like, if there's no fruit from your relationship with God, from you being cultivated by God, miss me with it. I'm good.
Okay.
You don't pray, you don't fast, you don't read your Bible. Miss me with it.
Let's go.
All right, what's your
Miss
top
me
one?
with it. Yeah. Miss me with it, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Miss me with that. All right. My business.
I knew that's what you were thinking about. I knew it.
Sorry, inside jokes on the pod. We don't normally do that. All right. My first relationship red flag would be finding a man or woman and you find that they do not have a sense of their personal blueprint. I mean, we're talking about, we can get to more, like the honorable mention ones I think will be more fun, but these are the serious ones. No relationship with God? Absolutely. Next would be not having a great relationship with yourself. If you don't have self-awareness and know who you are and why you're on this planet, what is your identity in Christ? What is your calling in this earth? The problems with that is that if somebody doesn't know their personal blueprint, they're going to try to latch onto somebody who does. And they will not just latch, but leech.
Ooh.
And they will try to become your puzzle piece when they're meant to be another puzzle piece. You're supposed to become one with your spouse, but not the same puzzle piece. You're actually supposed to have two interlocking pieces. And you need to understand your blueprint, and they need to understand their blueprint. And you need to understand where you overlap and where you're separate. Super critical that you understand who you are, what your identity is in Christ and as a human. And if you don't, it can be discovered. There at least has to be a desire to find it, because you're not going to find someone in a state of perfection. But I just wouldn't move forward with a relationship if there's not at least a desire expressed for that, because with no personal blueprint and a sense of your purpose, then you lose ambition, direction. And if you're getting together, you say it all the time, you're meant to be getting together for kingdom purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And you will have a sense of your personal blueprint. But if they're not at least willing to supplement and complement you and support you, like, this is where it leads. Like, it leads to jealousy. It leads to resentment. It leads to holding you back because of their fears and insecurities.
Resistance.
So it's optimal when both of you understand your blueprint and are confident in who you are. The idea of two wholes making a whole and bringing that together. So did we understand our blueprints perfectly when we met? No, but we encourage each other to learn them. And I was not comfortable, and I don't think you were comfortable moving forward until we knew for sure that our blueprints aligned. And you can't know that if one or the other doesn't know their blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's mine. What's your second one?
Okay. So I would agree with the no blueprint thing.
Okay.
No self-awareness thing. My next one is an emotional one.
Okay.
Communication.
What about it?
Lack of communication skills. Lack of effective communication skills. Like not being able to actually like communicate your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, and expecting the people around you to read your mind or like know just because I love you that I'm supposed to just automatically know what you want and what you need and anticipate your needs and things like that. That can lead to a lot of misunderstanding and misalignment. So mental and emotional stability and being able to communicate what it is you need, when you need it, being able to communicate whether or not you're upset or whatever, and do it with a certain amount of civility.
Wow.
You know?
Yes.
Mature communication. Not being able to communicate maturely or communicate with maturity and with love. Because you might need to say something hard, something difficult for the person to hear, but you might still need to say it, you know, and to say whatever it is and communicate whatever it is that you need to say with love and with action and with intention and purpose and all those things. Like communication skills, lack of communication skills is a serious red flag, because most of being in successful and effective and productive relationship is about communication. And if you don't have any skills in that area, you don't have any emotional intelligence in that area,
come on,
it will absolutely affect the health of your relationship.
Yes.
So communication skills, or lack thereof, I should say.
Good one.
Big red flag.
Good one. I love that what we're talking about is like the deep stuff that really, the foundational stuff that really matters and cascades throughout the entire relationship. Some of the other things are really important, but they're a little more kind of like simple and fun to talk about. You know, these are the deep ones. So the three we've just mentioned are super duper deep, like every day will affect everything type of foundational stuff. So that's good. Okay. Ready for my next one?
Yeah.
I mean, after that, I mean, that's pretty, like, I think those three are like three of the biggest ones. But my next one, my second one, I'd probably actually put, like, the ones we just said would be my top three. So you stole two of them, but that's fine. So now we're like into number 4, essentially. What would make my top 4 would be, narcissism or controlling behavior.
Ooh.
If you notice that pattern, like I've seen it happen where it's like one or the other is on their best behavior through the dating and courtship phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the conquest is over and the ring is on and they're living together, that individual goes back to everything they were. Like, they were putting on a facade the whole time. So I think that's part of what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, like, but this idea of controlling behavior, manipulation, and narcissism, it's easy to hide in the same way. Like, you can hide certain behaviors until you're married. And so it's really important to me to give it time and to put yourself in positions and have tons of conversation, because this is a huge decision, right?
Yeah.
And manipulation and narcissism are not as easy to detect if you're not used to it. And I would advise having some wise counselors around you who can
For
check your
sure.
blind spots on that,
Mhm.
because you might be infatuated and be falling in love with love, and you might not even be able to see what could be going on and how these things will manifest later on.
Yeah. And if you're locked in a pattern, you could be falling in love with the same spirit in a different body over and over.
Yikes. Right. This happens. Yes.
You know, and if it is something that you are used to, you might not detect it because you think this is what love looks like because this is what I grew up with.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you have like a narcissistic parent or, you know, someone else, or a first love or something like that. You might be looking for that in another person, same spirit, different body.
Yep.
And you could be locked into a cycle or a pattern where you're like, well, this is what love looks like because this is the only way I've ever experienced it.
Yeah.
And you may need to break that pattern in order to actually even see what real love actually is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So just watch for little things like, do they dictate who you can spend time with?
Mm.
Do they monitor your activities? You know what I'm saying? Or do they like make decisions for you without your input? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are little things that can, again, fame, money, marriage, only amplify what you already are.
Right.
And so these are important flags to look for and to have conversation about. The challenge, I'm not going to say the problem, the challenge with people who have, there's like clinical narcissism, but like the challenge with people who have suppressive or narcissistic tendencies or manipulative tendencies, they will not change until they really want to. That's how it goes for everybody, but that's a tough one. It's a character trait that goes pretty deep and has to do with some serious identity issues, insecurity around your identity that causes you to focus your entire world on yourself. You're operating in this world more in the orphan spirit, not from your sonship or daughtership with God, which is a totally different thing, where you can rest in that identity. You can rest in who you are. The thing you hear from people who have that kind of orphan spirit is I. Everything's I. And somehow they make, so look for that too. If somehow they find a way to spin it back to them every time, just pay attention.
Every situation about them, like everything is not about you.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say that all humans have
We are
narcissistic
self-interested,
tendencies,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
But when it's the preponderance of the time that you're with them, they can turn everything back around and make it about them.
Yeah.
You know, where, you know, this is what narcissists tend to do, is they love bomb you in the beginning of a relationship, you know, to secure your attachment. And then once they know the attachment is secure, they can make it about themselves.
Yeah.
Which really love bombing is about them anyway.
Right.
Because they want to make you love them.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. Striving for love, trying to earn love. So all the empathy in the world for myself and for anybody who has those tendencies, we all ebb and flow through them, but some people are locked into it, and then it reflects on how they treat their neighbor, because they don't truly love God and have the intimacy with him because they're actually afraid of him. And therefore they can't love themselves the way that they want to. So therefore you're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. So you see how that all comes together?
Yeah.
So it's just important to look for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so that's we're at number 4. So we got 2 more. Give me one
Wait,
more.
what?
That's number 4 total. You've done 2, I've done 2.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna do 6 total, right? That makes
Okay.
sense. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
next.
So this is my last one technically.
Okay.
And that's I think I don't really know how to say this. But you touched on it. Self-awareness. Lack of self-awareness. I'm stuck between that one and I think I'll do this one instead. I'll do a bad relationship with your family.
Oh.
It's a red flag for me.
Okay.
Because I'm very family oriented.
Okay.
And if you have, what's the word? An overwhelming amount of mommy issues or daddy issues, that you are, and I guess this kind of fits under the umbrella of like mental awareness, you know, if you have unresolved trauma that you are not trying to work through. So that's the umbrella we'll put it under. Unresolved trauma that you have no interest in working towards. Like if you have no awareness of your issues and no plans to resolve your issues, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I always want to do is be progressing, and I want to be moving towards the Lord. So if there's no interest in moving forward, in forward movement, in growth, in personal, physical, emotional growth, like the lack of desire to grow is a red flag. You don't want to do any type of growing. If you don't want to do any type of transforming, if you just want to stay the way you are and, you know, not change at all, not transform at all, not let the Lord renovate your soul, big red flag for me. Because everybody has unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has those things that have affected their childhood to the point where it exists now in their present adulthood.
Right.
And if you have no awareness of that and no desire to resolve the issues and the traumas that drive your negative behaviors in the present, miss me with it. No thanks.
Wow. Yeah.
Ultimate red flag.
Come on. I like this. This is good. I like how this is shaping up because I think we're actually talking about, and the next one I'm going to share, I think these could be like the top 6. Like not the most like clickbaity or headline worthy red flags, but probably the 6 most important ones.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Very PRA focused.
Yes. PRA, proper relational alignment. All right. So I'll share this last one and then let's do a few honorable mentions just for fun. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap up. But my next one to round out the top 6, I could go with dishonesty because that's really important.
Oh yeah.
Trust. If you don't have trust in relationship, you can't move anywhere. You really can't. So that's a big one. So I'm really struggling with that one. But I'm going to go with, as far as what erodes a relationship, is if you notice a pattern of constant criticism, like regularly belittling you or your experience, your appearance, your achievements, all that kind of stuff, just any of that. And the reason I bring this up is because we went through the Gottman Institute's marriage course, and it's science-based relationship teaching. And they're able to predict with 90-something% accuracy if a couple's going to get divorced based on some things. Like they take them through these little tests when they come in for their counseling, and if if it goes this way, like they can say, oh, that's 90% chance they're gonna get divorced. So they found that there are certain things that make couples master couples, and certain things that make them disaster couples.
Yeah.
And it's just science based. And they say basically this is the formula. If you do these things, you can be a master couple. If you do these things, you're going to be a disaster couple. And it's just how it goes because we've observed this in over 40 years of research. Okay, so I brought criticism because it's it's the first of their what they call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Someone who criticizes all the time. If you criticize without knowing how to communicate it in love, and really have it be about growth, and if it just goes over and over again, and you don't resolve that conflict, then eventually it leads to contempt. There starts to become contemptuousness in the relationship. And then eventually, whenever anything's brought up, just immediate defensiveness. And so now you're just damming up the communication pretty much at all. And then the 4th of the 4 horsemen is stonewalling. And I've seen it. I've seen people who are married who will take 10-hour road trips and not talk the whole time except about logistics. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's walls are up. They are just staying married for the kids.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen that. And so criticism is the first. And so if you notice that one, you have to have a conversation about that, because some people are anointed to see what's wrong.
Ooh, Jesus.
And that can
I think narcissists can be pretty critical.
Yeah. And so people who are anointed to see what's wrong with everything have a negative bias toward the world and toward you that can be really difficult to overcome. It's a habitual way of thinking and looking at you and the world. And it's a worldview. And that is really difficult to overcome. So it needs to be talked about at the very least. And if they really love you, I think all of these flags are overcomable.
For sure.
If there's enough love and true love, not just this feeling of love, but the love that says we're going to work through this and we're going to communicate through this. So, so I think those are some good ones. Gosh, like top 6, those are good. I mean, I feel like this is super valuable stuff. I feel good about this. Like I like how this went. What's on your list? Like honorable mention, relationship red flags.
This kind of goes into the physical umbrella, physical awareness umbrella, self-awareness, but hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hygiene.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I say this because scent is the strongest thing tied to memory.
Yeah.
Scientifically.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to even start the relationship out on a good note, you should smell good. And that doesn't mean take a French bath. No offense to French people. It just means you just put on a whole bunch of perfume without using soap and water. That's red flag.
Okay.
Red flag. Because
that's great.
A lack of understanding and awareness about your hygiene, it is tied to a lot of other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people, like, one of the symptoms of extreme, like, very, like, show up in your body, in your physiology, one of the symptoms of depression is that you don't wash. You know what I mean? And so there's this, it's just under the umbrella of self-awareness. If you're not self-aware enough to know when you smell bad, self-awareness kind of signals whether or not you're going to have the emotional intelligence to be aware of me.
Wow. Yeah.
And if you ain't even aware of your own self, you don't know your own self, you don't know your own scent, you can't tell.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
You know, if you don't offend yourself with your scent, there's no way you're going to know if you offended me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a way that you can drive people away too.
Yeah.
And so, hygiene. If your breath smell like the other end of your colon.
Oh my gosh.
Your tongue smell like if your tongue smells like the other end of your colon, and you don't know, that self-awareness could be, that lack of self-awareness could be why you single.
Oh, wow.
Somebody can't even be in a conversation with you without your breath reaching out and wrapping itself around their nose.
I mean, that's a legit medical condition.
It is.
But for some people.
For some people.
So, yes, I just want to say that, you know.
Right.
But I hear
what is it? Halitosis?
Halitosis, yeah. I don't understand it. But I think it's hard to overcome for some people.
Halitosis is hard to overcome?
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just think maybe a few visits to the right dentist and some lifestyle changes could help. That's what I'm saying. Self-awareness. If you're not even aware.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have that problem and you're aware and you're working to fix it, God bless you.
Yeah.
But overall, hygiene is a big thing. I'm a really big fan of the way you smell.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. Most of the time. You could not shower and you don't stink. I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. Bless God, bless your parents, Andrew, Brett, for passing that on. Thank you. But I don't think that I would be as much of a fan of you if you weren't aware. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just hygiene is a big deal, especially in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Hygiene is a big deal.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it also has to do with mentality. Because a poverty mentality, an impoverished, orphaned mentality can also contribute to you not having enough self-awareness to pay attention to your hygiene.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
that's fair. Okay.
There's a hygiene, bad hygiene.
All right. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's rapid fire real quick because we gotta. We gave the top 6. We gave the meat. Now we're just kind of giving the side dishes. Let's do it. We'll do it fast. All right. Just what I wrote down. Someone who's kind of like into communication, like lack of emotional availability.
So in that blue flag area.
Yeah, someone who's not willing to express themselves.
Mm-hmm. Emotional constipation.
Yes, that. Anybody, if they are avoiding introducing you to friends and family, definitely red flag.
Red flag.
For sure. Like any secretive or suspicious behavior, like online or anything, just anything,
they won't let you get in a phone,
right?
They won't let you see their phone.
That, especially, and also like even in business, like I'm saying, like you need to know what they're doing. What do they do for their career? Because you could be seriously getting into a relationship with someone who's fraudulent,
a criminal. Lord,
this can happen. That can happen. And then, I mean, this is like on the like extreme side, like, but it can happen in a Christian relationship. When you're trying to be pure. And especially I can see it, a man could do this, like pressuring for things physically that you're not ready for, or like pictures, or things like that. That's a red flag for me. It should be a red flag for anybody who's trying to do that. Do it in a Jesus way. So I got that, and then my last one for rapid fire is, and this is just for me, like, if I have to fake laugh, miss me with that.
Why you say it like that? Oh my gosh.
No, but like that was a big one for me. Like I learned that early on that was an important one for me. I want to genuinely laugh. I had to be authentic. That was just something core for me. Like that's not for everybody. And honestly, not everything we've said is for everybody, right? So there's that. Yeah, I want to say this. All right, so my last thing I'll say, and then you give a couple more, and then we'll end with a great joke. I got a great joke today.
All right.
I think it's funny. But I will say this about relationships. Know the difference between preference and principle. And don't exhaust yourself over matters that are truly about preference. And not principle. Preference matters, but sometimes our preferences are not aligned with God's principles.
Ooh, that's a sound bite. Talk your talk, baby.
So don't emphasize things that don't need to be emphasized. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. There are certain things that you might not ever overcome in your relationship, but it can still be a beautiful relationship.
Yes.
Love is patient.
Mm.
It's kind. It's also long-suffering. And sometimes there are things that are part of a person's character that you might just have to live with, and it might irk you your entire life, or you might have a transformation where it actually becomes endearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so pay attention to the red flags, those principle-based things that would have a cascading influence on the entire relationship that could make it go outside of what your personal blueprint is, outside of your destiny, that would influence your relationship with God and your true fulfillment in the relationship. But don't be so nitpicky that you nitpick yourself right out of a relationship. Because I think sometimes we are so picky that we're not willing to accept imperfection. And we had to accept imperfection. Like, we have a beautiful relationship, but there is an amount of settling that you have to do because we're dealing with humans. And it's not Hollywood, and it's not perfect. So it's okay. Like, you had to settle for some imperfections, but you love me regardless. And I love you regardless of your imperfections. And we work to overcome and to grow personally. But I just think that whole preference and principle thing, really important to keep in mind, because if you like the danger, like even the whole flag system, what I was getting from that is like very eye-centered. It's all about you and your happiness, but love, a relationship, is not all about you and your happiness. It's about the other's happiness and your purpose together, and how you come together and fulfill God's purpose. And I think love can be pretty selfish, but as with everything, there's a middle ground. So these flags are super important, but don't let them cheat you out of what could be a good relationship. You know what I'm saying? At least the other colored flags. Red flags are red flags. But some of your red flags are not actually red flags, I guess is what I'm saying. They're just preferences. And preferences is okay. But you've got to come to a point where you're like, I'm never going to find anything perfect, so I'm going to be okay with this, and I'm going to love this. Godliness with contentment is great gain. You have to have contentment in your relationship. And we live in a more, gimme society that's always striving to be better, always striving to be perfect, always striving to be more, to receive more. And that's how you get these situations where you work together for 22 years and you achieve this, and now you're in the Grammys or you're at the Oscars. This literally happened to someone I'm very close with. And it breaks my heart. They worked together to achieve all these things, but then he had to get rid of her because he didn't feel like he could walk the red carpet with her. She didn't fit the image that he wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, I think you got to understand that it's not going to be perfect, and that you can't always be wanting more. You have to be grateful for what you have, and you'll never get more unless you're grateful for what you have. That's the paradox of gratitude. Yeah. Anyway, I love you. Do you have any other ones? Or did I hit them all?
Just gonna say, you kind of touched on it, but I was gonna say, if they shoplifting a pootie, red flag. That's from Jerry Maguire. If you know, you know.
Oh, I've never seen Jerry Maguire. What is that?
Okay, so Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise.
Yes, I know the movie. I know that. I saw all the commercials back in the day. 1995, mind you.
Dang,
that's crazy.
You remember that?
Show me the money.
Show me the money, right? So he's dating Renee Zellweger in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And she's a single mom. He's dating her, but he's like, sleeping with her, acting like he would with any other dating relationship. And Cuba Gooding Jr. confronts him. He calls him out, and he's like, you can't do that with her. She's a single mom. She has other things on her plate in her life. You can't be treating her like you would just treat any other woman. He's like, you can't be shoplifting the pootie. You shoplifting the pootie. That's what he was saying. He was sleeping with her and treating her like any other woman. And he was like, no, you got to make a commitment. He was treating her like, he could treat any other relationship where he didn't have to be committed at all.
Got
And he
it.
was like, no, you can't shoplift the pootie. You either gotta like
What's the
make a
pootie? I
commitment.
don't know what the pootie
The
is.
pootie is the cookie.
Oh my gosh.
He was shoplifting. He ain't make no
Babe.
purchases. And this is what we be allowing in relationships sometimes. And it's a red flag.
Okay.
You know, if we only in it for the physical situation and like you said, pressuring for physical, you know, demonstration that you did not invest enough time or money or resources. It's like, you know, older women will say, why would he buy the cow if he's getting the milk for free? You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, he shoplifted a pootie. He's
okay. Got it.
Red flag.
Got it. Woo! All right. That's a great way to end the podcast today. Love y'all.
I'm just saying that's not love. That's not love.
That's not love. No, that is actually the height of selfishness for a man. If it's just one way.
Yeah.
You know.
You could say you love somebody, and you're partaking of their physical anatomy of their body without the covenant that goes with it.
Oh yeah.
Then it leaves both people open to whatever soul ties each one of them already has.
Facts.
Something about the covenant of marriage sanctifies, or what does it say about the marriage bed being undefiled? Like, it sanctifies the coming together of those two people when you come into covenant with God. When you step outside of covenant and you do covenant acts without the person who ratifies the covenant being in the center of it, what you are doing is basically committing covenant with something else. And you've exposed that person to whatever covenants you already have in place, whatever soul ties you have in place. And then they're exposing you to whatever soul ties they have in place.
Amen.
And we just mingling and crossing and, you know, overlapping soul ties and covenants and things. And so that's all I'm saying. You shoplifting a pootie, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing it the right way. You're not doing it God's way.
Love it. Thanks, babe.
Red flag.
Red flag. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, we hope this was a helpful episode for you. We love talking about faith, relationships, bridge building of all types, and we know that a lot of people who are listening are, you know, listening in for the nuggets they can glean from our story and what we've learned about relationships. We're not relationship experts, we're not. We're learning.
Have a relationship.
We just have a relationship that we love and it works, and we're learning as we go, and we're sharing as we go. Yeah. And I think we need more of that. You know, a lot of people hold back. They don't share until they feel like they've arrived.
Right.
And I think there's value in sharing what you're learning along the journey.
We overcome by the word of our testimony.
Amen. And also, what's the quote? Is it an Emerson or a Thoreau? I can't remember. Or maybe it's a Van Dyke. That the woods would be silent if only the something birds sang. I can't remember. It's something about that. Like, basically, the woods would be very quiet if only the best birds sang or something like that. Or something like that. Anyway. Cool. Love that. That went really well.
Like, comment, subscribe. On that note.
Dang it.
We're just
swing and a miss.
Well, you know, you're usually on point, so we'll give you a pass.
Thanks, babe.
You and your quotes are some of my favorite things. I love when you pull out your quotes. You have some really good ones. Anyway, you guys are here till the end of the episode, and we know that there are those of you who literally wait for this moment. Some of you fast forward till the end to get the joke first and then go back and watch.
That's wild.
Yes. So we just want to make sure that we leave you with a smile on your face that you have been anticipating. Babe, what you got?
Speaking of wild, with that kind of introduction, I feel like I should give two. Like,
okay.
You know, I guess double for your trouble out there.
You know.
All right. So, David loves going to the planetarium and loves going to the dinosaur museum and stuff like that. Recently, we went to the aquarium. We didn't stay long, though. There's something fishy about that place.
The aquarium?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm grateful that I have a second one because I didn't feel like that one went really well.
Okay.
But keeping it in an animal themed space, very bucolic. What do you call a sheep who can sing and dance? Lady Baba. We love y'all.
Oh, we love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go build a bridge. Bye.
Bye.
It's better with us two.